Today, the earth hangs in the balance between two seasons. Sitting on the cusp of spring, though not yet fully torn from winter. It will dance between these two times for the next month, if not a bit longer. The lowlands are showing the earliest starts of spring. The delicate flowers are sprouting from the trees and bushes, serving as a quiet reminder that the days will continue to get brighter. Even though the mountaintops are still covered in snow. It's this time of year when I can't help but crave the warmer days. Free from the biting cold that still lingers in the wet air, and free from the clouds that still cast themselves across the sky. I've been trying to bring the starts of the season into my home, to coax its spirit nearer to my everyday, and to bring reminders of joy and lighter times ahead. It inspires me and strengthens my resolve. Besides, there's just something about the simple act of making your home beautiful. So here I have the last remaining elderberries, some spices, water, and a cooking pan. It's officially come time to finish my elderberry syrup. I'm running a little bit low on elderberries. I think I have just enough. I might have a few less than I would normally like to use, but since the honey and the tincture are very, very potent, it should be okay to have a little bit less in the infusion. Now, my least favorite part about winter is the fluctuating temperatures where I keep my jars that makes them very impossible to open. There we go. I do need to renew my stores, but that will be an adventure for next year, or I suppose in the fall. But for now, it's pretty simple. I'm gonna start this decoction going. All I'm gonna do is add the remainder of my elderberries to my saucepan, the spices, and the water. Bring it to a simmer for about 40 minutes, and then check on it then, do a couple extra things before finalizing it. While this is simmering, I'll strain the tincture and the honey, so I'll have a lot of work to get done in the meantime. Let's get started, shall we? So first we have our infused honey. It is absolutely beautiful. And then here is the tincture. They're both very rich in color, and I'm very excited to see them in their final state. We'll start with the tincture because it will be a little bit easier. Now just to let this set and strain. It'll take a little while, but it's already starting. I probably should have began with the honey. I didn't really think about how long it would take for it to get through the mesh, and I also still have a little bit of extra here. Maybe I'll start a smaller little guy going in the other strainer I have to get it all done at once. But ideally, this should strain out by the time the other infusion decoction is done simmering, and besides, once it's done simmering, it will need to cool off for a time. But it is such a beautiful process, and it is turning into a really beautiful day. I started this while it was raining and borderline snowing outside, and I'm very glad to see that the sun is almost peeking out. You might be able to tell as it's gotten a little brighter, so it just feels so happy. I'm so glad to have spring flowers, and it's just starting to feel good. So I'm going to take this right now and set it up to strain, and then I will check back in with you once I have the decoction off the stove. So this, and then see you soon. Infused beautifully. The honey is still straining a little bit, but it's starting to look pretty good. So I think I'm gonna mash up the rest of the elderberries in here, add it to the bottle, and then check back in on how the honey is doing. The honey still has a while to go before it's fully separated from the elderberries, so I'm gonna let that continue to strain and set. I have the alcohol tincture and the decoction combined and sitting together. At this point, the honey could strain for as long as it likes. The tincture will make the decoction stable, shelf stable that is, so at this point it's not really a big rush, and I'm just gonna wait for the honey to finish straining out on its own in whatever time that it needs, whether that's this evening or tomorrow morning. So I'll check back in with you once that's done. I think this will do. Today it is a very rainy day, but it's starting to feel warm outside, so it's kind of beautiful and wonderful. It's almost 50 degrees, which is so exciting, and it's starting to feel like spring. The last couple of days have been really, really windy and cold, or even just windy and medium temperature, but the wind has made it kind of brutal outside. And so having a day that's not super windy, yet is of course Washington rainy, is kind of a blessing. I also got this funny little sparrow bottle opener. I don't really open a lot of bottles, but it's so cute and it's bringing me a lot of joy. So today feels like a good day. I've been doing a lot of thinking lately about so many things, and we will unpack all of them, but my last 2 videos here have been pretty heavy, and I have been wanting to change the content that I post here for a long time, and not really change what it is, but just create more frequently and share more frequently. But I mean, since I began posting, my life has always been kind of rocky. Things going wrong or being difficult. I have health struggles, and there are moving and relationships and just general life things that happen. It just always seems to be a little crazy and difficult sometimes to create in the way that I want to. But as I've been thinking about it and kind of going back and reviewing things, and I've said this a million times before, but I created this channel to share the beautiful moments of life. It's a good reminder for me in times that are hard, and as things have been more difficult over the last handful of years, I've stepped away from it a lot. And when I get back into a groove with it, I feel really good and life gets brighter. I mean, there's something about taking the time to notice the small moments and little beautiful things. And over these last couple of years, I've often had kind of a hard time finding that. And I made a goal for myself at the start of this year to really buckle down and make the change that I've been wanting to make despite difficulties, and it's been challenging to say the least. As always, I'm starting to find a new rhythm in the midst of chaos right before things are about to get even more chaotic, which I will explain in a moment. And I think I'm just gonna ride the wave of chaos and take you along with me through more of it than I usually do. I know I say this a lot, and I don't know if this is going to be the change, but I feel really fulfilled making these videos, and I need to shift it a little bit. And so when I say it, I usually do stick to it a little bit more. And so I'm gonna say it to hold myself accountable. I'm somebody who aims for big things often, and I also change my mind a lot. And so I seldom share things that I am working on or working toward until they're a really sure bet, because often they can take a long time or life gets in the way, and sometimes I just grow out of that or need to change the path for some time. And for some reason, I am uncomfortable sharing these things and in case I change my mind. And I think I need to get over that, because I think it's very human and normal to set goals and go for things and change your mind. Prior to my last video, I was planning on sharing a video discussing kind of a lot of the hardships of the last handful of years and explaining some of what has happened. And I still want to make that. I think that that will be the next video that I share here, because I want to sit down and really think about how I want to present it before I do. But I think it's important to share and discuss. And I think it'll be a good step in this direction of openly creating even through the more difficult things, because things are just gonna be difficult. That's just life. But it's still beautiful, and there are still so many things to enjoy about it. And I want to be able to marry the two in a way that is sustainable and healing, I suppose. I also want to really start focusing on making the shift of this being my primary channel that my other channel follows behind sharing the recipes over there or just deep diving into things that I share here, but there in one-off video formats, similar to how it is now, but letting this be the lead and where I put most of my energy. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and it's just not something I've executed because I have all of what I said, the worry of sharing things and just a lack of understanding of the balance. But I think I'm in a position to find that balance now, especially given the last two videos being kind of heavy here. There's a lot of my person that I've shared recently that I used to keep very close to myself. And it feels good to be a little more open. And so with that in mind, let's discuss some of the chaos and crazy that is coming into my life. So first and foremost, I am planning on moving again. And I was supposed to be moving on March 1st, and as you can tell, it is not March 1st. I am filming this and closing this video out on March 11th. So it's a little rocky. There is this beautiful, beautiful house. It's a rental. Housing market's insane, but it is the most perfect home in the world. We want it so badly, and so much has gone funny with it. I think I'll tell the whole tale once we get the house, because we're gonna get the house. It's so crazy. It's totally up in the air, but we're delusional enough that we're gonna get the house. And I've spent so much time decorating it in my head and dreaming about eating breakfast on the porch. It is so unbelievably perfect and beautiful, and I just, I really need this house. And while there are some funny things happening and my current lease ends at the end of March, which is definitely kind of close, and in theory, ideally, we'll hear this week if we'll be able to get into it in time, but if not, then we have to either find a different house before the end of March, or I have to pack all my stuff up, put it in storage, and move to the cabin for a bit until we're able to find a home. So that's crazy, and only a little bit stressful. At this point, I've made peace with it. It was very stressful for the last, I don't know, we've been working on it for a month and a half now, and it's a little crazy. This house is definitely going to be rented. It's just a matter of the timeline of it being up, and I'll tell the whole story. I'll tell the whole story later because honestly, hopefully it will be funny in time. But I had packed up quite a bit of my things to move on March 1st because that was the initial plan. And so I've been living in my apartment kind of in this weird half-packed life, which is not exactly an ideal way to live. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna have to move twice in the next month or what things are gonna look like. It's just really up in the air here, and that's something that I normally wouldn't have shared with you all because it's crazy. But it's a huge life change, and it is very exciting, and I will for sure be keeping you updated on the whole process. In addition to this, I also got another book deal, so I'm gonna be writing my second book this year, and they do want the first draft in by the end of July. I think that's a little early for writing a book that's probably around 300 to 400 pages long, and also moving twice and doing my full job that I'm doing. But we'll see. I'm gonna sit down this week and try to figure out a timeline on that. But I'm expecting to get that book done and out to you potentially spring or summer of next year. That would be really exciting. And that's a big project that's gonna take so much time. And my last book that I wrote, I really kept a lot of it under wraps. I shared more details of it on Patreon throughout the whole process, but I didn't share a lot about it on YouTube until it was done. And I think this time around it would be really fun to bring you along with me while I'm writing the book. I'm very excited about it. It's a topic that I love, and I will give you more details about it in the next couple videos as I'm working on it. And also, another big update is that I am working on going back to college and getting a, ideally, nursing degree. This is something that I've wanted to do for a really long time, and my whole college story is actually a very interesting one to tell as well, but I do not have the time today. But this is a big change. This is something that I've wanted to do since I was a teenager, but either my health or work or life just never really lined up. And honestly, it still doesn't at this point, and I'm gonna work on it very slowly, but I want to do it and I want to add that in. And I do feel a little funny going back to school and not being a child, and I think it'll be interesting to navigate that, and that's something I want to share. I got into herbalism because I'm in love with medicine, and I really want to be able to marry both natural herbal medicine with a proper education on modern Western medicine. It's something that's very important to me and has always fascinated me, and I'm just very excited to get started on this path and share it with you as well if you're interested. So with that, those are some really major life updates. These are all things that I've been working on for the last handful of months, some of them more than that. And I just haven't really shared them before because, I don't know, it seems scary sometimes because they take time. And they're things that change, like moving. I thought I was gonna move in and now it's all crazy. So we'll see. It's okay. The owner's doing the right thing. Really, there were just some issues with the lease and now he's getting legal counsel on it. But he's just not in the same amount of rush to get it ready. And that's what it boils down to, is the timing issue. That's all okay. I'm gonna get the house. And if you guys wanna put some woo-woo into the world to encourage that, I would really appreciate it, because my goodness, I could live there forever. And I'm also just very excited to start these other journeys of school and writing another book. Those of course are things that are going to take a long time, but it's all just part of life, and I'm very excited, and I'm excited to share it with you this time around. I'm feeling really good. Life's starting to feel a little bit better. Spring tends to help with that. And even though it is raining, diagonal rain right now out this window, it is still a beautiful day, and I'm really grateful to get to share these things and make these things and do this. Alrighty, I'll see you very soon.